It's officially been over 2 years since Splatoon 3 released to the public. This installment in the Splatoon series has brought so many new things to the table that cause so much positive energy around the game. However, since the actual content updates for the game are finally finished, I have one pretty simple question. Is the game any good? Is this game really worth the $60 price tag? Well, let's find out. And if you do enjoy, feel free to subscribe. To start off this video, let's look at the main multiplayer of the game. And we can't talk about the main multiplayer without the weapons. Splatoon 3 introduced 2 new weapon classes to the game, being the stringers, which are kinda like bows, and splatanas working like swords. While one of those weapon classes is kinda more viable than the other for reasons, both of these weapon classes are both welcome additions to the game that are both pretty cool to use. On top of these new weapon classes, we also got 9 new weapons built off of the returning weapon classes, like the S-Blast and Heavy-Edged Splatling. While once again, some of these weapons are extremely weak, for example like the Splattershot Nova, the weapons can tend to be pretty fun to use. But that's enough about weapons for now. Let's take a look at the interesting main multiplayer stages the game has. Look, I gotta be honest with you, as much as I love this game, it does not have the best maps. I won't go so much into why, but I will say that there was a lot of missed potential using their new movement and the terrain they could have used. Unfortunately, these stages sometimes do end up looking the same. I gotta say though, some of the maps in this game do look pretty creative, but that's it. You can really start to notice how weak some of these maps are, especially in a more competitive setting. So there's some really good maps, but there are a lot of mixed or bad ones. Let's look at a few examples. For some bad maps, we have stuff like E-Tail Alley, Brownwater Springs, and Wahoo World. But there are some good ones like Roboramen, Hagglefish Market, and Mako Mart. But overall, if you're playing casually, these stages aren't as big of a deal. Alright, that's enough about the base multiplayer for now. Now let's take a look at the base game story mode, and it's pretty fantastic. There are a lot of creative levels that use cool new mechanics, lots of fun levels, and a decent amount of challenging levels that feel rewarding to complete. I think probably my favorite part of this DLC was the fact that they added a skill tree which you can slowly upgrade your character. The world that we take place in is pretty awesome and really creative. The characters surrounding it are amazing to work with. There are so many positives. Overall, this story mode felt so much better and more fun to play than Splatoon 1 and 2. Splatoon 1 was just an alright story mode nowadays, and Splatoon 2's story mode is basically just a copy and paste of Splatoon 1's story mode. So yeah, this easily beats out the base hero modes from those games easily, so I think we did good here. But you know what we also did well with? Salmon Run, which is also one of the other online multiplayer modes this game has to offer. Look, I've never been a huge Salmon Run guy myself, but I can't deny, this mode can be fun as when I'm sick of Wrecked. They added new creative salmonids, they added very cool and solid maps, they added a kind of mixed reward system that takes way too much grinding, but nonetheless I think it's cool that they added it. And I can't forget that they added boss salmonids, which are honestly so cool and kinda scary. I also can't forget that they made the mode playable 24/7 without having any time windows like they did in Splatoon 2. While there are still flaws like the reward system I mentioned earlier, this is a major step up for Salmon Run, and I'm honestly interested what they may do next in Splatoon 4. But I can't keep talking about Salmon Run without mentioning the special events this game has, and they're pretty alright. First off, Big Run and Extra Work are amazing events that the community really likes. Big Run, especially for me, is so interesting. The way the world goes into a red sky is kind of scary and kind of cool as well. But that's not even the best part. Big Run literally has you take place on actual base multiplayer stages, which is such a cool way to make an event. I think it's creative and I think they did an amazing job with it. I don't like Extra Work as much, but it's a nice way to bring the community together until you can rack up the most eggs in a certain time period. So it's cool. Splatfest is a little more of a mixed bag. Some people really like Splatfest, and some people dislike them for numerous reasons. However, it is a chill way to hang out with friends and play casually. As for me though, I like Splatfest overall because of the fun vibe it brings, but the flaws in this mode do hurt it a lot. For example, not being able to play ranked modes. Also, I can't forget this. Tricolor is an amazing concept that I thought would be cool, but they kinda fumbled with it. It can be fun I guess, it's just really complex and doesn't work that well. But you know what's even worse than this? Challenges, which is one of the biggest flops this game has, potentially in Splatoon history. It can be fun, but the mode does have strict time windows to play, so instead of being able to play at any time with rotational challenges coming in, they went back to the Splatoon 2 Salmon Run method, which was nothing but negatives to the mode and just made it worse. It's not the worst thing to ever exist, as the challenges can be fun sometimes. It's just that this and other flaws do hurt the mode. Okay, let's return to something a little bit more positive, and that's the paid DLC. Let's go over the first wave to begin. This wave brought back Inkopolis Plaza from Splatoon 1, which I thought was really cool as it did not have Splatoon 1 at the time. I do think this is a cool alternative, but I also think they got a bit lazy with the lobby just putting you back in Splatsville. Deep Cut still does the news, which doesn't make a lot of sense because the Squid Sisters are right there. Stuff like that does seem a little bit rushed, but I still think it's cool. However, the best part of this DLC by far has gotta be Side Order. I won't spoil any of the unlockables or the final boss or the secrets, but I will go over the basic stuff. I think it's cool how you upgrade your character over time. I like the entire colorless theme of Side Order, as Splatoon can tend to be a very bright game, and seeing it like this is pretty cool. I think the plot is pretty interesting. I like the character building, there is a lot of good things going for it. The one thing I truly dislike about Side Order is how repetitive it can get, but we can't get too upset over this, as that's how it's supposed to be played. But other than that, I think it's really cool, and I think it's worth it. So if you're considering getting the DLC, I definitely recommend it. Okay, it's been a while since we talked about the base multiplayer, and I want to start again by talking about the more competitive scene behind the game. We already talked about the more casual side, but let's focus on how this topic takes place in the game. For a start, in my opinion, this is some of the best metas we've had in a Splatoon game, as many weapons are fairly viable. I've already made a video talking about this, so if you want to check it out, feel free. But back on track, I've just always loved the hype around the competitive scene, especially since it's so fascinating to see this many people come to a shooter game event with this main premises, as it's just so unique. And not to mention, there are a lot of amazing content creators who make this even better that keep the community fresh and alive. This can even go for casual YouTubers as well. So yeah, I think we overall did a good job with the multiplayer, besides the stuff like the matchmaking and netcode. Lastly, let's talk about the stuff that didn't really fit in the exact category. Starting with the customization. This game has an amazing variety of t-shirts, hoodies, hairstyles, leg wear, eye colors, hats, headphones, high tops, sneakers, and even emotes, lockers, badges, banners, and titles, and so much more. Every player in this game looks different at some point, and I think it's one of the strongest aspects of the series, and it keeps getting better over time with every game, and I think it's just great. Definitely one of my favorite parts of Splatoon. But going back to the game modes, this mode going by Table Turf Battle is just okay. It's a nice side mode overall, and I like looking at the unique cards there are in this game. It's just something I can tend to forget sometimes. Again, it's not bad, and I see why people can like it, it's just not for me. Splatoon 3 truly was a major upgrade from Splatoon 2, and has brought so many things to the series that so many people just love. Splatoon 3 at this point is soon gonna come to an end, and I'm just grateful for what this game has brought to the fanbase. It helped me meet so much new people in the community. It helped me really start my YouTube channel. It's done so much for people, and despite all those flaws I mentioned in the entire video, this game is still by far the best in the franchise. So to answer the question, is Splatoon 3 a good game? Well, say what you want, but I think this game is amazing, and I can't wait to see what they do next.